an easy explanation?
I'm explaining it. You're explaining it.
I mean, you can if you want to.
No,
but I was-
good.
Okay.
You got a plan.
I did have a plan.
Okay.
So, in side control, if he's pinning me, how is he actually pinning me?
Hips, shoulders, body.
So, realistically, I have 6 directions of travel that I can travel, right? I can't come up. The floor is in between me down, right? My east and west are a little impeded, but my north and south right now are a little free, right? What am I trying to break? I'm always trying to break chest-to-chest contact, right? His chest is his biggest pinning mechanism, and my chest is the biggest surface area he can pin it against. So, in any type of side control he chooses, so if this is the one he chooses, my least amount of resistance to travel is where I should go, so I will increase my gripping area, right? I'll get to a side, so I less the amount of friction in between our chest to chest, and I'll start to drive forward. Woo! Right? Now if his hand's over my head or whatever, maybe I go south, right? Or if he's leading too hard on one side, maybe I go to the side, right? All the pinning mechanisms are the same no matter what direction. I rotate. I realize I'm probably very quiet to that thing. Anyway. All of the things, let's say he's pinching further down with his arm, and he's pinching like this. Now, my ability to travel upward is lessened, but my ability to travel downward is not, right? So if I chop, you see how that gives that a little bit more exposure. I turn, and I start to go. Does that make sense? All of these pins rely on him maintaining this chest-to-chest contact and closing off my avenues of travel, right? If he actually closes them off, right, it's going to be very hard for me to escape. Why? Because my modes of travel are now non-existent, right? So I have to start building in or making these modes of travel accessible again. Does that make sense? All grappling is as a form of grip fighting, right? If you are being pinned, you are losing the grip fight. Does that make sense? Okay, so just want you to take side control position. From about 20% resistance on top, if that, right? The person is going to basically move around in their planes of field. What do I mean by planes of field? Again, you have planes of travel. There are 6 of them. Travel in them how you see fit. Go the path of least resistance. See how there's nothing holding me on the upward version? So I'm going to start to build my space. Travel upward, right? Once I've got here, right, and I'm like, oh, I want to go backwards, I could go for my own thing, right? Or I could just keep going. Make sense? All right, let's do it.
People put themselves in a thing.
They do.
Well, by wrestling's definition, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So you would view that as a pin, right?
Bitch move.
Maybe.
Well, one of my answers was if I had you in my guard and I had you locked down, I'm pinning you, because I have complete control.
Yeah.
Right.
There's 2 pins happening.
Ooh, see, I don't think so. I don't think the top guy's pinning you if you have control.
It's an argument of who's holding who down, right?
Yeah, well, that's the whole.
I guess that's-
my overhook versus your underhook argument.
Well, to
But-
be fair,
but
there's
my-
an answer.
It's the
to
overall-
that.
Exactly.
Who's
that's what I'm
winning?
saying. Yeah.
It's the overall philosophy of like having their shoulders down. They're focused on the shoulders, but it's I have control of your body, and I did have control. I put you in that spot because I wanted you there.
So you could
But
have
control's
control.
different than pinning.
So you could have control of my shoulders, right, on the ground, and still lose through an armbar, because I had better grip,
Yeah.
better positioning, right? And who had control in that point? Who was holding who? I was holding you. I happened to be on my shoulders, but I was not pinned, right? So pin has to apply some measure of control on it, right? And that's actually kind of what I'm thinking of. Can I see it again?
Yeah.
All right. So
Good philosophical.
here I am holding him, right? If he does any kind of arm drag or anything, or his chest ends on top of my chest, right? He is now holding me, right? Who's spinning who? At this like exact moment, right? He keeps rotating, right? Who's spinning who? Right? This is the argument of where the pin is actually taking place.
See, I disagree.
You think so?
I
Okay.
do, because right, just like wrestling, there's so many different versions of control before you get to a pin. So I would say that whole time there was no pins,
Yeah.
there was varying flow of control.
But what is a pin?
And that's what I was saying. I think a pin is when one person has complete control over the other person. Complete control in the sense of
Like they're tied
of
up,
the
they're
game.
stuck. They
So
can't.
I would say if you have someone's back with both hooks in and the seatbelt, I would say that's a pin, because that person's not going anywhere unless you make a move to transition, and they have to take the opportunity to get out.
It's like they're stuck.
Yeah, right. And same thing with if you have somebody in your guard and you've got them locked down, they're pinned. You might not be able to win from there. You have to release the pin in order to transition to the next thing. But I think that you go from the pin, just like if you have someone a head and arm in wrestling and you're pinning them, if I have somebody in a pin, they're gonna stay there, but I have to release it. As soon as I release it to try to do a different kind of finish, I've released the pin and transitioned to a submission.
Why do we care about? I mean, what's the point about the pinning?
Yeah.
Because this is like, I mean, in fact, jujitsu takes the pin and then just goes beyond. It was
Yeah.
like the 100 level. Now we're at like 200 or 300 level.
So I'll explain. Why does
Control.
where the pin matter is about how you can determine who's winning at any given position, right?
It's a point, like points, like in a competition.
Not necessarily points. No. So like if again me and Aki are moving, right, and he takes underhook and I take overhook, right? I am at the current moment slightly losing, right? Now who's winning, right? And then this changes even more once I get his head down, right? Now who's winning, right? But then he picks me up. He's got 100% control, right? Am I not pinned against him?
No.
See, and I think that's if you'd done that against a wall,
Yeah.
would you not have said I was pinned against the
Against the
wall?
wall is different.
It's not.
But it is.
I
It is,
literally-
'cause you
where
have
am I
every-
gonna move?
Literally anywhere except for your legs. And so I think that's the other
We
thing.
need a synonym for pinning.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll just say control. Control's an easier enough statement, I guess.
But they're different. But yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree I was in control. But
You
definitely
were.
not pinned.
You're 100% in control. You could literally just gone. Whoop. You owned every bit of my weight.
It's not a pin. I don't want to see it, not one more.
I guess that's fair. Anyway, so back to what we were talking about breaking pins and stuff like that. This applies to standing, right? And this is specifically what we're talking about. If we lean chest to chest, right, and he wants to take me somewhere, this is a bad day for me, right? I have to be able to break this, and I do so the same exact ways, right? I would do it on the ground, except I get to have added bonuses of rotation with power, right? So if we're here, right, I wanna make that space, right? If my direction of travel is easier to go this way, sometimes that's the way to go, right? If my direction of travel is easier to go this way, that's the way I go, right? I can go down, right? It's very hard to go up here, right? I don't wanna jump. If you jump anywhere close to this way, you're gonna go for a trip, right? You can go over, like if you're good at wrestling and stuff like that, like if we were punched down, you need to jump over and grab the legs. Those are options. I don't recommend them, but they are options, right? But I'm looking to either break contact or win the grip fight again, right? So if I'm here and I drive in and I pick up, right? He wants to break the grips that I have, right? He can simply step down, right? He can turn. Yep. What else do you think he can do? He can turn me. Oh, he's a big, strong man, right?
Turn you? For sure.
I mean, like throw me.
Oh.
Right? So like there are multiple options that you do, but these are all the same exact things that I would do if I was on the ground. If I'm on the ground, what am I doing? I'm making space, right? Causing that thing. I can go this direction, like a ghost escape. If I was here, right, my avenue of travel is down,
Oh.
right? Well, because I can't go side to side, it's all around, right? Side to side doesn't really work.
Can you just suplex people, man? Like, can you just?
Can he
If you
suplex
want.
me? He can, but once my hips get lower, it becomes a lot harder.
Okay.
So he can absolutely do that. But again, he has to be able to hold on. So like if you're dropping and you're raising your arms, this is the whole bear hug thing, woo, right? If I lower myself and raise my elbows, right? And I want to turn my face when I do this, right? Because if I don't, and he pulls back, that's going to be quite painful. However, you should be taking your hands, raising them up. But this is silly, right?
Who ends up
Women's
No.
self-defense class.
Yeah.
No, it never happens.
In the
Right.
girl.
Doesn't happen.
That's my
right?
first, I don't know you.
Bobby Hill?
What?
Huh?
Bobby Hill?
Yeah. Bobby Hill.
I do not know what y'all are talking about. Anyway, but the principles are all the same, right? So I don't want the chest-to-chest contact unless I'm winning the grip fight, right? If I'm winning the grip fight, when we come chest-to-chest, I'm going to take it, right? If I'm not, I need to break that. How do I do it? The same exact ways that I do on the ground. Now, that being said, we're going back to the ground. You wanna take mount?
Hmm?
You wanna take mount? Okay, so with mount, what is like the easiest and most basic way we do of getting out of mount?
Shrimping.
I'm gonna say trap and roll. I think trap and roll is probably the easiest, most basic, right?
Yeah.
His chest is trying to touch my chest, right? I would break here, right? And I would turn. Why does this have the greatest, sorry, I'm probably yelling in your ear.
What's that?
Why does this have the greatest effect? Our chest to chest, right? So our chests have the greatest impact on each other, right? So when I add rotation in, right, this is his biggest impact I can have. So if I was here, y'all see how it's my chest that's driving his chest? Now, we can do something similar, assuming we can keep control, and I just drive into his chest with my hand. But his chest has to move. If I try to do this with just his hands, right, and I'm already on my side, why is this weak? Because I'm having the least amount of impact on his chest. Your core is going to have the biggest impact on your whole body. The closer you can get to this stick called your spine, the greater effect it's going to happen. Make sense? All right, so this applies to all kinds of misalignment as well. So, we'll do this side. If I come over, you see how his back is no longer straight with mine, right? For me to get out, it becomes easier because his back is way over there and he has the least amount of impact on my chest. Does that make sense? So if we do our silly bucking and we go boom, and we're over here, now, could I not just sit up? I could sit up, right? Now, as soon as his chest gets back and squared with me, I cannot sit up, or yeah, I can just take my back, right? I cannot sit up, right? His chest will force my chest back down because he has a superior hip positioning, right? I can't just come up. If he wants me to come up, then he'll let me, but there's no way I can just sit up while he's in between me. Yeah. So here, when I come off to that side, we have a misalignment of himself, right? Where we could choose to either lift their hips and clear, right? Or you can do any other variation of it. So either your chest stays close to their chest or get it as far away as possible. Does that make sense? Give that a try.